Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. For today's video, I will be reading my subscribers' spooky stories. So go get comfy, grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it. Hi Daisy, my name is Anna. I always believed in the paranormal. Since I was little, I was told that energy is borrowed. Some of it comes back, reincarnated, but sometimes it just stays behind. It lingers. And I've always felt like certain things stick to people, especially when there's a lot of emotion involved. This story has two parts, and I truly believed they're connected. I've never had a good relationship with my son's father. Things got really toxic. He once told me he wished our son was dead. He even claimed to have prayed to Lilith to take him so I'd never see him again. I tried not to take it seriously because he was always saying twisted things like that, especially after I chose to remove him from our lives. But then things started to get weird. My son had just turned 1 and we finally moved him into his own room. At first, it was small things, footsteps at night, soft whispers I couldn't make out. I told myself it was just exhaustion from waking up 2 to 3 times a night, now that he wasn't sleeping beside me. I didn't want to believe it was anything more than that. Then one night, I was home alone with my boyfriend at the time. My parents weren't home, and I always hated being in the house by myself. I was half asleep when I heard tapping on my window. I jumped up, but tried to calm myself down. I figured maybe it was a branch from the tree outside. Then I remembered we had that tree removed weeks ago after a storm snapped it in half. Then it happened again. 3 more taps, soft but sharp. I woke my boyfriend up. He was groggy but agreed to go check. He came back and said no one was there, that I was probably imagining it. But I know what I heard. We even checked the Ring camera that was right outside the window. It caught nothing. No person, not even a shadow. A couple of weeks later, I was in the shower. My son was asleep and my boyfriend was in the living room watching TV. I had the baby monitor with me just in case. While rinsing my hair, I heard my son start to cry through the monitor. I quickly wiped the soap off my face and looked at the screen. At first, I heard humming. I assumed my boyfriend had gone to check on him. But when I looked again, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was someone in the room. She was bone pale, with matted, stringy hair and torn clothes, just standing there, staring down at my son. I couldn't move. It didn't feel real, but the second she reached down toward him, every instinct in me screamed, "This is real." I ran out of the bathroom, soaking wet, screaming for my boyfriend. He followed me, confused, until we reached the room. I saw her, just for a second. Still standing there, her face was sunken, like her skin barely clung to her skull, and her eyes, they weren't even sockets. They were just empty, black voids. My boyfriend, who's Christian, immediately began to pray. That's when she let out this horrible shriek. It wasn't just loud, it pierced my ears. I grabbed my son and we ran out of the house. Later, I had the house cleansed, spiritually scrubbed from top to bottom. I haven't seen her since, thank God, but I still can't shake the feeling that my son's father had something to do with it. With the things he used to say, the rituals, the hate in his voice when he talked about our son. It feels like something answered him. I still don't know what she wanted, but I pray to God I never see her again. Hi Daisy, my name is Star, and I wanted to share with you some of my father's and uncle's scary stories. It was 1990, and my father was about 15 years old when this happened. He was living in El Salvador at the time. It was late at night, around midnight, and my dad was tossing and turning in bed. He was sleeping in the same room as his cousin, my uncle, when suddenly he heard the door to their room open. For reference, this door was very heavy, made of metal and about 40 pounds. He looked over at the door, and that's when he made the mistake of looking at it. It was a woman. She had long black hair covering her face and wore a white dress. She was floating with her arms stretched out like she was trying to grab him. My dad immediately threw the covers over his face and screamed as loud as he could. His grandfather came rushing in, shouting, "Alex, what happened?" But my dad was frozen in fear. He didn't respond. But before his grandfather came in, he had seen that the door that was once opened was completely shut. After that night, my dad came down with a high fever and was sick for an entire week. Well, years later, something eerily similar happened to my uncle, Paco. At the time, he was in his early 20s, walking through the hills at night on his way to visit his girlfriend's house. While walking, he saw a really nice wooden plank on the ground. It was about 4 feet long. Thinking it might be useful at home, he bent down to pick it up. But the moment he did, something felt wrong. His hand started to tingle, like his nerves were screaming at him to drop it. So he did. When he looked up, there was a woman standing in the road. She was staring at him, just like in my dad's story. She had long black hair and wore a white dress. My uncle couldn't move, but somehow he gathered the courage to run right past her without looking back. When he finally reached his girlfriend's house, all you could hear were his boots squishing and squeaking. That's when he realized he had peed himself from fear. To this day, they believe what both my dad and uncle saw was none other than La Siwanava. Hi Daisy, my name is Marina. I'm going to be sharing 2 paranormal experiences that happened on the same day. This is a story my uncle shared with me, something that happened back around 2014. Anyways, let's get started. My dad had 2 jobs, one in the morning and one at night. He would usually come home around 6 p.m., eat, shower, and take a nap before heading to his next shift. For my uncle, it was just a regular day. Around 5:30 p.m., he saw my dad come in through the front door. He called out, "Mauricio, how was work?" But my dad didn't reply. He just walked straight to his room. My uncle was confused about why he ignored him, but brushed it off and continued getting ready for work. Right as he was about to leave, my dad walked in through the front door. Again. My uncle was stunned. He asked, "Did you just get home from work?" My dad replied, "Yeah, I just got here." My uncle responded, "But I just saw you. I spoke to you, but you didn't answer." That's when he noticed that my dad was wearing a completely different shirt. The first time he saw him, he had on a bright orange shirt, but now my dad was wearing a black one. My uncle thought my dad was playing a joke on him and started getting mad. But my dad swore he had just gotten home. That's when my uncle's heart dropped, and he told my dad everything. They both got scared and went to check the room, but there was nothing there. It was like whatever it was had just vanished. Later that day, my dad and uncle went to work, and my mom came home from the grocery store with me and my older sister. It started raining really badly, with thunder and lightning. We both got scared and ran into my mom's room and hugged her. To help us calm down, she put on a movie. Well, that Christmas, our cousin had given us tons of gifts, probably over 50 dolls, both big and small. My mom kept all of her toys in 2 big plastic containers in the living room. My sister and I mostly just played with our Barbies, since we didn't have batteries for the rest. As we were watching the movie, we eventually fell asleep. Suddenly, all of our toys started going off at once, and the TV turned on by itself, changing to a specific channel with the volume blasting all the way up to 100. My mom got up, rushed to the living room, turned everything off, and went back to the room. But as she was walking back, the toys started going off again, and the TV changed back to the same channel. Scared, she turned everything off again. Then it happened a 3rd time. The TV sounded like it was about to explode. That's when my mom yelled, "Enough! I'm not playing anymore. Who's doing this?" And just like that, everything stopped. The toys went silent, the TV went back to normal, and it never happened again. Hi, Daisy. Ever since I was young, I've experienced paranormal things. I'm not sure if it was just fear, maybe from watching too many scary videos, but I would both see and hear things. Growing up in the same house, I had multiple experiences. When I was 11, my dad passed away. After that, it was just my mom, my older brother, and me living at home. This story happened when I was either 13 or 14, around 8th grade. At the time, my brother was always at work by the time my mom and I got home, so it was usually just the 2 of us in the evenings. After my dad's death, I stopped believing in God. I was angry that he took my dad. My mom and my brother felt the same way too, even if none of us said it out loud. Our faith was really weak at that point. Strange things would happen constantly. Cups would fly off the counter. I'd see shadow figures, and our family photos would fall for no reason. My room was small, so I didn't have space for a desk. When I did homework, I'd sit at my dresser, which was positioned directly across from my door, meaning my back was always to it. I'd often hear my mom calling my name from downstairs, only to shout back and hear her say she hadn't called me, or vice versa. Sometimes I just felt this heavy, uneasy presence in my room, and I'd bolt downstairs to be near my mom because I was so scared. One evening in particular, I was sitting on my bed, crying about my dad. I was staring at the door and thinking about how he used to knock on it when he got home from work and ask how my day was. While I was crying and staring at the door, something suddenly hit it. The door moved, and so did the purses hanging on it. I immediately felt this overwhelming, heavy presence. I whispered, "Dad?" But deep down, I knew it wasn't him. I gathered the courage to run past the door and downstairs to my mom. I didn't tell her what happened right away, but I was so shaken that I started doing my homework downstairs from then on. I kept feeling that heavy presence. I'm convinced it was something feeding off our grief. I'm 19 now and have had more experiences since. These days, we use holy water around our house often. I pray every night and whenever I can, and I never take off my cross necklace. Every now and then, something weird still happens, but it's nothing like what I used to see and hear. Hi Daisy, you can call me Adri for this story. This is just one of many experiences my family and I have gone through. This story takes place when I was 15. My family had just moved to San Diego, and I was forced to share a room with my brother. I didn't really mind though. I love my siblings. At first, it started small. My makeup would vanish from my desk, only to reappear in the exact spot I had just searched. I brushed it off as stress from school, since I tend to overlook things that are right in front of me. But I realized I wasn't just being careless when my brother pulled me aside one day. He dragged me into our room, shut the door, and sat on his bed next to mine. Our room was set up like a college dorm. "I know you've seen her too," he whispered. I looked at him confused. "Seen who? Are you okay?" The chills I felt when he told me what he had seen that night still stay with me. Our apartment was small, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, with a hallway so dark it needed its own light. My brother said that one night he woke up and rolled over, trying to fall back asleep. When he turned toward my side of the room, he saw me standing beside my bed, staring down at something. He didn't say a word. His body felt frozen. As his eyes adjusted, he realized I was actually still asleep in bed. The figure standing over me was a woman. My brother said she slowly brushed my hair out of my face before he turned away, too terrified to move. The next thing he remembered was waking up in the morning. As soon as he finished telling me, our mom walked in. She had been eavesdropping and admitted she experienced something too. She told us she and my dad had never seen the woman, but they had both heard her yell at them before. At the time, my mom had just given birth, so she and my dad would take any chance they could to rest. One night, she jolted awake after a woman's voice screamed in her ear, "Wake up, the baby is choking, wake up now." She ran to my brother's crib, and sure enough, he was choking on his spit. My dad had a similar experience another time when he overslept. Again, the woman shouted at him to wake up. Now, this is why I'm emailing you. I'm 19 now, about to turn 20. I've since moved out of my parents' place and live with my grandparents. After I left, my parents and siblings say the spirit stopped appearing in their apartment because she followed me. My mom did some research and discovered that a woman had died in that apartment during a domestic violence situation. Supposedly, she had a daughter, though we don't know what happened to her or the partner. What I do know is that the spirit has been attached to me ever since. People I've spoken to about this say she doesn't want to harm me. In fact, she sees me as her daughter and has been looking out for me. If I miss an alarm, something tugs at my leg or drags me out of bed, I still see her now. With my terrible sleep schedule, I sometimes catch her standing at the end of the hallway when I turn off the lights, or hear her right outside my bathroom door. After my breakup with my long-term boyfriend, I woke up one night to find her sitting at the end of my bed. She scolded me, saying, "Don't go back. Whatever you do, don't go back to him. Don't text him. Don't answer his messages. He doesn't deserve you. You deserve better." The next morning, I woke up to calls and texts from my cheating ex begging for forgiveness. I have come to the conclusion that she is my ghost mom and is looking out for me. I don't know who she is, but I wonder what will happen once my time comes. Hi Daisy, my name is Fernanda, and I wanted to share an experience I had when I visited my dad's hometown in Zacatecas. We went to my dad's Ranchito, a small town where everyone knows each other. It was my first time visiting, and when we arrived, we greeted everyone and reunited with family. Eventually, it got late, and we all went to sleep. The room we stayed in was basically the main area of the house. It had the front door that led outside, the living room area, and a bed. My parents and little sister slept on the bed, while my older sister and I each took a couch. Sometime during the night, I woke up. I didn't struggle to wake up. I just did. But the moment I opened my eyes, I felt like something was watching me from behind. For context, the kitchen area was right next to the couch I was sleeping on. There was a curtain hanging on the doorway to cover the kitchen entrance, so I couldn't see what was behind it, but I felt it watching me. For some time, I felt paralyzed. I couldn't move. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a woman standing outside the window. She was tall and had 2 braids. She just stood there, staring in through the glass. I quickly shut my eyes, trying to force myself to fall asleep, even though I could still feel her presence. Eventually, I did fall asleep. The next morning, I told my parents what happened, but they brushed it off and said I was just imagining things. But that wasn't the only time I saw her. A few nights later, something happened again. It was around 2 or 3 a.m., and I was still up watching something on my phone. My phone battery was low, so I decided it was time to sleep. As I tried to fall asleep, I suddenly heard a knock at the door. The door had a small window with a curtain over it, and through it, I could see a shadow. The shadow looked familiar. I couldn't be completely sure, but I felt like it was the same figure I had seen the other night. She was knocking, like she wanted me to let her in. I quickly started to pray. I kept praying until the knocking stopped and her presence was gone. As soon as it was quiet, I immediately fell asleep. The next morning, when I told my parents again, they said I was hallucinating. My family is very Catholic, so they don't really believe in things like this. But something tells me it was real. I still don't know why I was the one who had to be woken up that night and see her, and I honestly hope no one else ever has to. It was a terrifying experience. Once our visit was over, we didn't return until the next summer, but that time, nothing happened. I slept through the whole night and never saw her again. That was 2 summers ago, and I'm going to return to Zacatecas soon. I'll keep you updated. So that was it for today's spooky stories. Thank you to everyone that took the time to share their paranormal encounters. Thank you guys so much. I know you guys get probably spooked out even while writing it. I get spooked out while reading it, so we are even. Thank you guys so much. If you have a spooky story that you'd like to share, please send it in at daicyspooks@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are all doing amazing, and I hope to see you guys all in my next one. Bye.